भव्य संसद भवन से मैं मनीषा दुबे दूरदर्शन की ओर से आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत करती हूं। मौका है संसद का बजट सत्र 2008 के उपलक्ष्य में राष्ट्रपति के अभिभाषण का और माननीय राष्ट्रपति महोदया का शुभागमन हो चुका है। आज संयुक्त सदन को माननीय राष्ट्रपति महोदया श्रीमती प्रतिभा देवी सिंह पाटिल संबोधित करेंगी। प्रथम महिला राष्ट्रपति का पहला बजट। जी हाँ, बहुत ही ख़ास मौका है ये बजट सत्र हम आपको बता दें कि 3 महीने का होगा और 35 सिटिंग्स होंगी इसमें। और भव्य संसद भवन जो राष्ट्र की मजबूती का प्रतीक है, आज यहाँ पर बजट सत्र का उसकी शुरुआत होगी। संसद भवन जो कि गणतंत्र का स्तंभ है, यहाँ पर नीतियाँ निर्धारित होती हैं, दिशा तय होती है देश के विकास की, और अलग अलग सत्र होते हैं और ये सत्र बजट सत्र है। संसद भवन के द्वार पर आगवानी की जा रही है माननीय राष्ट्रपति महोदया श्रीमती प्रतिभा देवी सिंह पाटिल, प्रथम महिला राष्ट्रपति। और यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं लोकसभा स्पीकर श्री सोमनाथ चटर्जी, उपराष्ट्रपति महोदय मोहम्मद हामिद अंसारी साहब और माननीय प्रधानमंत्री डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह। फूलों द्वारा स्वागत। और सूचना एवं प्रसारण मंत्री भी यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं श्री प्रियरंजन दास मुंशी जी। और इस अगवानी के साथ ही महामहिम अंदर प्रस्थान करेंगी। सम्मान गारद अभी उनका बिगुल बजा, उद्घोष माननीय राष्ट्रपति महोदया के सम्मान में। हम आपको बता दें कि ये बजट सत्र जो है वो 3 महीने का होगा और 35 इसकी सिटिंग्स होंगी। बीच में एक छोटा सा ब्रेक होगा जो 21 मार्च से 14 अप्रैल तक होगा। और इस दौरान बजट के दौरान रेल मंत्री द्वारा रेल बजट पेश किया जाएगा और वित्त मंत्री द्वारा सामान्य बजट पेश किया जाएगा। 26 फरवरी को रेल बजट और 29 फरवरी को आम बजट पेश किया जाएगा। ये सत्र बहुत महत्वपूर्ण होता है क्योंकि इस दिन सबकी नज़रें इन दिनों और उम्मीदें संसद भवन से संपूर्ण रूप से जुड़ जाती हैं और सबको उम्मीद होती है कि सर्वव्यापी विकास को ध्यान में रखा जाएगा बजट में और बजट सत्र में। और माननीय राष्ट्रपति महोदया केंद्रीय कक्ष की ओर जाते हुए, केंद्रीय कक्ष में ही आज यहाँ पर संयुक्त सदन को संबोधित करेंगी अभिभाषण के द्वारा माननीय राष्ट्रपति महोदया। साथ में हैं माननीय श्री सोमनाथ चटर्जी, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह और सूचना एवं प्रसारण मंत्री श्री प्रियरंजन दास मुंशी जी और उपराष्ट्रपति महोदय मोहम्मद हामिद अंसारी साहब। संसद का केंद्रीय कक्ष जो अनेक मौकों का गवाह रहा है, आज वहीं पर अभिभाषण होगा माननीय राष्ट्रपति महोदया का। मैं आपको बता दूं कि जो बजट है वो लेखा जोखा ही नहीं बल्कि सरकार की आर्थिक और सामाजिक नीतियों को कार्यान्वित करने का एक मुख्य जरिया होता है। जनता की उम्मीदें जुड़ी होती हैं बजट से, चाहे वो किसी भी तबके का क्यों ना हो। देश की आर्थिक व्यवस्था को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए ही बजट दिशा प्रदान करता है। और ये संसद का केंद्रीय कक्ष आगे बढ़ते हुए बहुत भव्य है। ये इसका ये गुंबज ऊपर का अपनी भव्यता को दर्शाता हुआ, और जो इसकी दीवारें हैं वहाँ पर प्रेरणा स्वरूप कई चित्र लगे हुए हैं। दर्शक दीर्घा आप देख पा रहे हैं, यहाँ पर मीडिया और जो दर्शक हैं वो बैठते हैं, और ये बिगुल का उद्घोष।
Honorable members, I convey my best wishes to all of you and to our people. The Parliament convenes at a time when the economy is on the move. My government remains firmly committed to ensuring that the economic growth process is socially inclusive, regionally balanced, and environmentally sustainable. The measures taken by government have created the necessary architecture of inclusive growth. Several programs have been launched to make the growth process socially inclusive and regionally balanced. These include Bharat Nirman, aimed at bridging the rural-urban gap in development, the National Rural Employment Guarantee Act to soften the sharp edges of poverty and offer basic livelihood security, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan for giving equal opportunity to our children in realizing their potential, further strengthened through a universal midday meal program. The National Rural Health Mission offering the rural poor access to basic health care, and the Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission promoting socially inclusive and economically manageable urban development. To make the growth process more participatory, responsive and accountable, government has sought to strengthen Panchayati Raj institutions and has enshrined in law a Right to Information Act. My government's strategy of inclusive growth has been enabled by and has in turn contributed to the acceleration of economic growth. For the first time in history, the Indian economy has grown at close to 9% per annum for our 4 years in a row. The historically high investment rate of over 35% of GDP and saving rate of over 34% of GDP symbolizes a new dynamism in our economy. I am confident that the creativity, enterprise, and hard work of our young people will be able to sustain these high rates in the years to come. This performance is all the more creditable against the background of high international oil prices and rising commodity prices, including for food. It will continue to be the endeavor of my government to sustain growth while keeping prices under check. My government has endeavored to insulate the Indian consumer by these global inflationary trends. World crude oil prices have almost doubled in the past 2 years to reach an all-time high of $100 per barrel. Yet my government has managed to moderate the impact of the domestic consumer. The architecture of inclusive growth is further consolidated through the 11th five-year plan. The plan has set a target of 9% of GDP growth for the country as a whole to be achieved in a manner that will provide equality of opportunity for quality education, for employment, and for enterprise, free people from the burden of ill health, and eliminate discrimination. The share of the central gross budgetary support allocation to key sectors is being substantially increased. The outlay on education goes up from 7.68% of the central gross budgetary support in the 10th plan to over 19% in the 11th plan. The outlays on agriculture, health, and rural development have been tripled. Taken together with the education, these sectors account for more than half of the central gross budgetary support as compared to less than one-third in the 10th plan. This is a major structural shift in plan priorities aimed at reducing disparities and empowering people. The plan hopes to raise the total annual investment in infrastructure from 5% of GDP to 9%. Public sector investment will continue to play an important role in infrastructure development, supplemented by private investment wherever feasible. My government will augment the skills and resources needed for enabling marginalized groups and regions to benefit from the processes of growth. My government has been paying special attention to the welfare of our farmers and has reversed the decline in public investment in agriculture. The target set in the National Common Minimum Program of doubling agriculture credit in 3 years has been substantially exceeded. The target set for 2007-2008 of rupees 2,25,000 crore has already been achieved by December 2007. Government has taken up the revival of rural cooperative credit structure. Government has appointed an expert group on agriculture indebtedness under the chairmanship of Professor R. Radhakrishna, and its report has since been received. The recommendations of the group are under government's active consideration. To bring the financially excluded population within the formal banking system, banks have been directed to utilize the services of self-help groups, microfinance institutions, and other civil society organizations to this end. Over 5 lakh self-help groups are being assisted under the Swarn Jayanti Gram Swarajgar Yojana, and 52% of the Swarajgaris are women. Government has also introduced the Microfinancial Sector Development and Regulation Bill. In Parliament, the Swarn Jayanti Shahari Rozgar Yojana is providing opportunities for skill development and employment for the urban poor, especially women. My government has taken two major initiatives for the agriculture sector in recent times: the National Food Security Mission and the Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana. The National Food Security Mission has been set up to enhance the production of rice, wheat, and pulses by 10, 8, and 2 million tons respectively during the 11th five-year plan. The Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, with an outlay of rupees 25,000 crore for farm revival, aims at stepping up agricultural growth to 4% in the 11th plan by incentivizing states to invest more in the sector. With the efforts of my government, there has been a substantial increase in agriculture production. The combined resources for agriculture, irrigation, and water resources, including a major flood management program, will go up from rupees 46,131 crores in the 10th plan to to rupees 1,38,548 crores in the 11th plan. My government effected an unprecedented steep hike of over 50% in the minimum support price for wheat and about 33% for paddy in the last 4 years. My government aims at tripling the size of the processed food sector by 2015 and doubling its share in global trade. To achieve these objectives, 30 mega food parks and an integrated cold chain will be established. A National Institute of Food Technology, Entrepreneurship and Management is being set up at Kundli as a knowledge institution for the sector. My government has placed great emphasis on the empowerment of scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes through increased access to education. Close to 900 crores have been provided for scholarships for about 30 lakh children belonging to the scheduled caste, and an amount of rupees 225 crores has been provided for more than 10 lakh tribal children. The Rajiv Gandhi National Fellowship and schemes for special coaching for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes students are being actively implemented. The Indira Gandhi National Tribal University will be founded at Amarkantak in Madhya Pradesh to promote studies and research in art, culture, tradition, languages, customs, and medicinal systems of our tribal communities, besides promoting educational opportunities for tribal students. The Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act is a landmark legislation aimed at correcting the historical deprivations of the tribal and traditional forest dwellers and restoring to them their rights on land. State governments have been requested to implement the provisions of this act expeditiously. With a view to provide social security to workers in the unorganized sector, who constitute a majority of our workforce, my government has introduced the Unorganized Sector Social Security Bill 2007, the Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, to provide health cover of rupees 30,000 for every unorganized sector worker living below poverty line, and for the family, the Aam Aadmi Bima Yojana, to provide relief to about 1 crore families of rural landless laborers in the first year itself, and the Indira Gandhi National Old Age Pension Scheme, entitling those who below poverty line and above 65 years to a monthly pension of rupees 200 have been launched. Government has also enhanced the national floor level minimum wage for rupees 66 from rupees 66 to rupees 80 per day. The eligibility limit for payment of bonus to workers has been raised from rupees 3,500 to rupees 10,000 per month. Workers employed by building contractors have also been made eligible for payments of bonus. My government has put in place a national rehabilitation and resettlement policy with effect from October 2007 to address the long-standing grievances of the people displaced from their land by development projects. The policy provides for basic minimum requirements to be fulfilled in all the projects leading to involuntary displacement. In order to give statutory backing to the policy, a Rehabilitation and Resettlement Bill 2007 and a Land Acquisition Amendment Bill 2007 have also been introduced in the Parliament. Inclusive growth demands inclusive governance. The key instrument for this is Panchayati Raj. The government has strengthened Panchayati Raj through united funds, through untied funds to support local area development planning, in addition to reorienting delivery systems to work through panchayats. To address the problem of regional imbalances, my government is helping less developed regions through the Backward Region Grant Fund. To provide access to justice, both civil and criminal, to our less privileged citizens at their doorsteps, my government has brought forward a legislation to establish Gram Nyayalayas. The Prime Minister's new 15-point program launched by my government aims at ensuring that benefits of the government programs flow equitably to the minorities. Certain proportions of development projects will be located in minority concentration areas, and wherever possible, 15% of targets and outlays under various schemes should be earmarked for the minorities. To improve the economic and educational status of the minorities, several programs have been launched based on the recommendations of the Sachar Committee report. The 11th plan provides Rs 800 crore for merit cum means based scholarship for professional courses, nearly Rs 3,300 crore for post and pre-matric scholarships programs for minority students, and Rs 3,780 crore for the development of 90 minority concentration districts. The proportion of priority sector lending going to the minority communities will be stepped up from the present 9% to 15%. These initiatives are important pillars of the architecture of inclusive growth. Women hold up half the sky. It is said, empowerment of women through female literacy is our single biggest challenge in the social sector. The National Literacy Mission will make acceleration of women literacy its key goal. We have moved closer to complete legal equality for women in all spheres by removing discriminatory legislation, amending existing legislation, and by enacting new legislation that gives women equal rights of ownership of assets like houses and land. Amendments are being considered to the Indecent Representation of Women Prohibition Act 1986, the Dowry Prohibition Act 1961, and the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971. Laws pertaining to bonded labor, plantation labor, factory and migrant labor will also be made gender sensitive. Removal of age-old prejudices, particularly bias against women in society, is the biggest challenge to achieve equality. My government is committed to strictly enforce laws relating to dowry, female infanticide, female feticide, and human trafficking, and to realize a gender-neutral India. To ensure proper enforcement of children's rights, a National Commission for Protection of Child Rights has been set up. Government proposes to launch a series of measures designed to address the serious issue of malnutrition among a large number of our children. Our sportspersons are increasingly making their mark in the range of games. Preparations for the Commonwealth Games 2010 are in a full swing. My government will also launch the Panchayat Yuva Khel or Krida Abhiyan to promote sports and nurture talents at the block and village levels. Honorable members, as I mentioned earlier, the architecture of inclusive governance is defined by my government's flagship programs. To strengthen the safety net provided by government for those seeking employment in rural areas, it has been decided to expand the coverage of the National Rural Employment Guarantee Act from 330 districts to cover all rural districts of the country from April 2008. Under this Act, 2.7 crore people were provided employment till the middle of January 2008 during the current financial year. Transparency has been made critical to program implementation through social audit, and for the first time, even muster rolls are put up on the internet. The program has been courting public scrutiny to ensure that benefits flow to those for whom they are intended. We are confident that with the active support of state governments, Panchayati Raj institutions, and civil society collaboration, the NREGA will achieve its ambitious goal. The Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan for elementary education is being strengthened with expansion of the midday meal program for children to the upper primary level in 3,479 educationally backward blocks of the country. My government seeks to provide universal access to secondary education by supporting 6,000 new high-quality model schools, with one school in each block in the country to set standards of excellence that can be emulated. Higher education will receive massive investment in the 11th plan with 30 new central universities, 370 new colleges in educationally backward districts, and expansion in the number of technical institutions with 8 new Indian Institutes of Technology, 20 new Indian Institutes of Information Technology, 7 new Indian Institutes of Management, and 2 more Indian Institutes of Science, Education and Research, in addition to the 3 started at Pune, Kolkata and Mohali. The National Skill Development Mission will ensure employability of our youth and address the skill deficit presently felt in some sectors of our economy. The National Rural Health Mission has been expanding the public health infrastructure and services in the rural areas of our country. So far, 1.38 lakh sub-centers, 22,669 primary health centers, 3,947 community health centers, and 540 district hospitals have been supported with resources under this mission. Nearly 5 lakh ASHAs, accredited social health activists, and link health workers are now in position in our villages. Rural sanitation coverage has improved significantly from 22% of rural households in 2001 to about 50% today through enhanced people's participation, incentivized by the Nirmal Gram Puraskar. Bharat Nirmal has sought to connect rural India to growth opportunities through connectivity to roads, electricity and telephones. From 2005 till the end of 2007, 17,000 habitations have been connected by all-weather roads. Over 44,000 villages have been connected to electricity. 40 lakh houses have been constructed for the rural poor. 2 lakh habitations have been provided drinking water supply, and more than 36 hectares have been provided irrigation. During this period, the target of telephone connectivity to all villages has almost been met, with only 14,000 villages remaining to be connected as of December 2007. Rural teledensity has improved dramatically. The Jawaharlal Nehru Urban Renewal Mission has been widely welcomed by states and cities covered by it. Projects worth Rs 25,287 crore are under implementation of 51 cities across 26 states. Under this basic services component, more than 8 lakh houses have been sanctioned for the urban poor. The central government will promote affordable housing through the National Housing and Habitat Policy. Rapid modernization and development of our infrastructure have been a priority of my government. Various measures, including the allotment of coal blocks with the capacity to support 68,000 megawatt of power generation, have been taken already. 9 sites have been identified in 9 states for setting up coal-based ultra-mega power projects with capacity of 4,000 megawatt each, and work has started on the Sassan and Mundra project. Modern and environment-friendly technology will be used in these plants. Units 3 and 4 of the Tarapur Atomic Power Station, India's first 540 MWE nuclear power plant, were dedicated to the nation in 2007, constituting a major milestone in our indigenous nuclear power program. Required policy initiatives are being taken to promote investment for the development of all sources of energy, including hydropower, other renewable energy and renewable and nuclear energy. National policies on biofuels and renewable energy are being finalized. The Chief Minister's Conference on Power Sector endorsed various initiatives aimed at capacity addition, economic pricing and power sector reform. My government has placed great emphasis on the enhancing energy security through rapid exploration of domestic oil and gas reserves, combined with acquisitions abroad. Significant oil and gas reserves have been discovered in 15 blocks. The first commercial production of coal-based methane began recently, and the first deep water natural gas production will also commence in this year. Another 57 blocks are being offered through international competitive bidding under NELP 7. Our oil companies are actively acquiring blocks overseas. The Petroleum and Natural Gas Regulatory Authority has been made operational. The Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Petroleum Technology has been set up to meet the shortfall of trained technical manpower in the petroleum sector. The new coal distribution policy has been notified to meet the full requirements of the defense, railway, power and fertilizer sectors. The increase of over 20% in the royalty of coal and ignite will benefit the producing states. A new mineral policy, which will greatly expand the investment and employment opportunities in mining, is under finalization. The sixth laning of 6,500 kilometers of existing national highways has been approved. Under NHDP Phase 6, 1,000 kilometers of fully access-controlled expressway will be constructed. Government has also approved widening and improvement of national and state highways in the northeast region to ensure better connectivity to all the 85 district headquarters in the region. The traffic handled by the major ports has increased by over 13% in the current year. With the approval of the new model concession agreement for private sector participation in the major ports and revised guidelines for traffic setting for projects under the public-private participation model, investment in this sector is expected to get a fillip during the coming year. My government has achieved a major turnaround in the financial and technical performance of the Indian Railways. To further improve rail connectivity and infrastructure development, 22 stations located at metropolitan centers and major tourist centers will be developed through the public-private partnership route. The Mumbai-Delhi-Kolkata dedicated freight corridor will be a landmark in railway infrastructure and will also support massive industrialization alongside. The civil aviation sector is witnessing an unprecedented boom with both passengers and cargo traffic increasing at an exponential rate. Government has given priority to upgradation and modernization of airport infrastructure and to increase availability of skilled personnel in the sector. New international airports at Bangalore and Hyderabad will be inaugurated this year. Construction of new terminals at New Delhi and other metros is underway. Air connectivity to different parts of the country, including Northeast, has been increased. The Indian telecom sector has emerged as the fastest growing in the world with the addition of over 7 million subscribers per month. A scheme has been launched to provide support for setting up and managing telecom infrastructure in rural areas to affordably and quickly expand mobile telephone services. My government has identified growth of electronics and IT hardware manufacturing as a thrust area. A special scheme has been announced to encourage semiconductor fabrication and other micro and nanotechnology manufacturing industries. The National E-Governance Plan to make government transparent and citizen-friendly is at an advanced stage of implementation all over the country. Use of information technology is in about 13,000 district and subordinate codes across the country has been initiated. An integrated national knowledge network to provide gigabit broadband connectivity will be set up to connect all institutions of higher learning and research in the country. The climate of industrial development in our country continues to improve. To ensure that Indian industry generates more employment and becomes more globally competitive, government has tasked the National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council to suggest appropriate policies. The competitive position of Indian industry, especially in sectors like steel and metallurgy, textiles, automobiles and auto components, pharmaceuticals and biotechnology, petrochemicals and cement is stronger than even before. India's mercantile export has shown a healthy annual growth at the rate of Rs 25% from $84 billion in 2004-2005 to $126.4 billion in 2006-2007. A stable policy framework and continuous effort by the government to reduce trade barriers and transactions costs have created a favorable environment for international trade. My government has placed great emphasis on ensuring a turnaround in the performance of our public sector undertakings. Revival packages have been approved for more than 25 sick and loss-making companies. The net profit of central PSUs has shown a healthy growth of over 17% last year. Profitability of public sector steel companies has gone up substantially from Rs 5,373 crore in 2003-2004 to Rs 15,567 crores in 2006-2007, energizing companies like Steel Authority of India Limited to go in for major expansion plans. The special economic zones promoted by government have already provided direct employment to about 1 lakh persons, with indirect employment estimated as twice as much. They have attracted investment of over Rs 50,000 crores and are expected to generate exports of Rs 60,000 crores this year. My government is committed to the promotion of our textile industry. A technology mission on textiles will be implemented during the 11th five-year plan. 4 centers of excellence will be set up in key segments like Meditech, Geotech, Agritech, and Buildtech. The Technology Upgradation Fund scheme has been extended for the 11th plan. My government has taken various measures to promote micro, small, and medium enterprises. This sector is vital to employment generation, entrepreneurship, development, and balanced regional development, and government will continue to provide financial, infrastructural, and marketing support to it. Government has placed great emphasis on science and technology development, substantially increasing financial support to S&T in the 11th plan. A nanotechnology mission has been launched. The Indian space program continued its march towards achieving self-reliance in space technology. The indigenously developed cryogenic upper stage of the GSLV was successfully tested in November 15, 2007. The INSAT-4CR, using our own geosynchronous satellites launch vehicle, and INSAT-4B were both launched in 2007. Our space program has enabled us to extend telemedicine, teleeducation, telecommunications, and other services both at home and abroad. A new Institute of Space Technology has been established to build up these successes. India's first unmanned lunar mission, Chandrayaan-1, is scheduled to launch later this year. My government acted with urgency on the issue of climate change and set up a Prime Minister's Council on Climate Change to plan and implement appropriate strategies for mitigating and adapting to climate change. A comprehensive national action plan on climate change is under preparation. India is willing to ensure that its per capita emissions shall at no time exceed the average per capita emissions of developed countries. At the Bali Conference on Climate Change, India constructively engaged with the international community to launch a comprehensive process on long-term cooperative action to deal with this issue in accordance with the provisions and principles of the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. The River Conservation Program will be revamped to focus on cleaning of major rivers. An Earth Science Organization Council has been created to guide policies of the newly created Ministry of Earth Sciences. A state-of-the-art tsunami warning system has been commissioned. On the occasion of the 150th anniversary of the First War of Indian Independence, the Red Fort was added to UNESCO's list of World Heritage Sites. I am happy to note that the sacred Rig Veda was included in the memory of the World Register last year. Government has focused on strengthening all India radio and Doordarshan services in J&K and the North and the Northeast. The Urdu channel of Doordarshan has commenced 24/7 services. Frequency modulated radio channels have been a have been seen a huge expansion with 152 channels already operating and expected to grow to 266 soon. Community radio has been given a major boost through a new policy. The Indian entertainment and media industry, including sectors like print, television, radio, film, and entertainment, is witnessing huge growth, contributing to large employment generation. Tourism has high potential for generating both income and employment across the country. The Incredible India campaign has given a thirst to tourism in India, with foreign tourist arrivals touching 5 million for the first time. Foreign exchange earnings from tourism have touched US dollars 12 billion in 2007. The overall internal security situation remains under control. My government is fully alive to the threat of terrorism and left-wing extremism. The entire nation stood as one in condemning inhuman acts of terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir, Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, and Assam. Government has been resolute in trying to stamp out left-wing extremism. The Conference of Chief Ministers on Internal Security underscored the importance of center and states working together to fight the menace of extremism and terrorism. Government is helping state affected by left-wing extremism, both on the internal security and the development and social empowerment fronts. Modernization of the police and security forces and the intelligence gathering systems is receiving high attention of the government. In the face of extreme acts of violence against innocent people, including those near religious places, the people of India have stood as one in rejecting the politics of hatred. Their refusal to be provoked demonstrates once again the innate humanism of our people and their commitment to the unity and integrity of our nation, to our constitutional values of pluralism and secularism. It is largely due to this that the environment of communal harmony and amity prevails across the nation. My government will remain ever vigilant against the mechanizations of such antisocial and anti-national groups seeking to disrupt law and order, communal harmony, and the unity and integrity of our republic. My government, working with the state governments in pursuing a multi-pronged strategy to ensure peace, normalcy, and development in Jammu and Kashmir. The Prime Minister's reconstruction plan is being implemented vigorously with focus on improving connectivity and infrastructure, including power and generating employment. As part of this plan, a housing project for Kashmiri migrants is under implementation in the state. You are aware that my government had held a series of roundtable conferences with all segments of population in Jammu and Kashmir. These deliberations reflect a wide-ranging civic and political consensus on political and development issues. Government is working on a holistic approach aimed at confidence building amongst all sections of the society, easier travel across the line of control, better governance, and closer attention to the aspirations of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. Improving connectivity, expanding infrastructure, and generating employment have been the focus of my government's initiatives in the northeastern region. The Northeastern Council has been collaborating with the Airports Authority of India to upgrade 18 airports in the northeast region. Greenfield airports will be built in Assam and Arunachal Pradesh. The Northeastern Council has taken an initiative to establish a dedicated airline for the region. Special Accelerated Road Development Program in Northeast SARDPNE with a funding of Rs 43,000 crores has been formulated to construct, improve and widen roads in the region. A Trans-Arunachal Pradesh highway will be constructed across the length of the state. A comprehensive plan for improving availability of power in the region is in the making. Broadband and wireless connectivity is being further enhanced to improve communications networks. New initiatives in education include setting up of new universities, other institutions of national importance. Industrial development is being promoted through the Northeast Industrial and Investment Promotion Policy. Work on the Assam Gas Crackers project, which will further contribute to the industrial development of the region, has started. Government has attached great importance to the achievements of the people of Indian origin in different parts of the world and their contributions to the nation. In recognizing of their contributions, several initiatives have been taken up. The first People of Indian Origin University is on the anvil. To tap the resources of the Indian diaspora, it has been decided to establish the Prime Minister's Global Advisory Council of People of Indian Origin. To facilitate potential migrant workers and help those overseas workers who are in distress, an Overseas Workers Resource Center and the Council for Promotion of Overseas Employment are being set up. My government has taken several steps to promote the modernization and welfare of our armed forces and ensure defense preparedness of the country. Our armed forces safeguard our frontiers, help in maintaining peace and security in insurgency-affected areas, and provide valuable aid to the civil authority in disaster management and in providing required relief and rehabilitation. The Armed Forces Tribunal Act 2007 would provide a meaningful opportunity to service personnel for judicial review of court-martial decisions and grievances relating to service matters. The successful launch of Agni-3 missile and the induction of BrahMos missile system into our armed forces constitute major milestones in the upgradation of our defense technology. The foreign policy of my government seeks to promote an environment of peace and stability in our region and in the world to facilitate accelerated social economic development and safeguard our national security. Government has made vigorous efforts to develop friendly and cooperative relations with all neighbors and to strengthen engagement with major powers. With the 14th SAARC summit in New Delhi in April 2007, India has made every effort to strengthen SAARC, moving it from a declaratory to an implementation phase. Progress has been registered towards the establishment of the SAARC Development Fund, the South Asia University, and the SAARC Food Bank. Our goal remains a peaceful, stable, and prosperous neighborhood. India is committed to extending full support to Nepal's development during its political transition. India also stands ready to assist the Nepalese people's choices in transition to a democratic, stable, and prosperous state. As a close and friendly neighbor, India would prefer to see a peaceful, stable, and liberal democratic Bangladesh. It is our hope that the people of Bangladesh will be able to exercise their will through free and fair elections for restoration of full democracy. There has been an unfortunate increase in violence in Sri Lanka. We are clear that there can be no military solution to the ethnic issue. It is necessary to find a negotiated political settlement within the framework of a united Sri Lanka that is acceptable to all sections of society. We will continue to help Afghanistan in whatever manner we can in its reconstruction and in building a pluralistic and prosperous society. We are committed to peace, friendship, and good neighborly relations with Pakistan. A stable and prosperous Pakistan at peace with itself is in the interest of our entire region. When conditions permit, we will resume our dialogue process with Pakistan aimed at building mutual confidence and resolving outstanding issues premised on an atmosphere free from terror and violence. We hope that Myanmar's ongoing national reconciliation and political reform process and the recognition of the need to expedite the process will make it more inclusive so as to ensure peaceful and stable democratization. India attaches high importance to its bilateral relations with the People's Republic of China, with which we have a strategic and cooperative partnership for peace and prosperity. This partnership has been further enhanced and given a global dimension with the signing of a shared vision for the 21st century during the visit of the Prime Minister to the China last month. Peace and tranquility have been maintained to our border with China, and both countries are determined that this should continue. My government has made rapid improvements in our relationship with the major powers of the world. Our relations with the United States of America have improved in the past few years and now span a wide spectrum, including high technology, space, agriculture, education, and trade and other linkages. It is our hope that civil nuclear cooperation with the USA and other friendly countries will become possible. Government has been working to further develop the time-tested friendship with Russia. The visit of Prime Minister to Moscow in November 2007 contributed to further strengthening our strategic partnership with Russia. We attach importance to relations with the member states of EU individually as well as collectively. The 8th India-EU Summit was held in New Delhi in November 2007. Most recently, Prime Minister of UK visited India and the President of France was the chief guest of our Republic Day. Government has achieved significant progress in the implementation of its Look East policy through participation in the ASEAN India and the East India Summits in Singapore in November 2007. India continues to work with Japan to strengthen its partnership. India's increasing engagement with the countries of Africa and Latin America received further impetus with the visit of the Prime Minister to Nigeria in November 2007 and the visits of the Presidents of Brazil and Mexico to India in 2007. Prime Minister led the Indian delegation to the second IPSA summit held in Pretoria in October 2007. India will host the first India-Africa Forum Summit in April this year. We have considerably enhanced our interactions with countries of the Gulf region that is home for over 4.5 million Indians and is an important economic partner and a major source of our oil and gas imports. The countries of the West Asia have age-old links with India culturally and economically and are part of our extended neighborhood. Development in this vital region impact directly on our interests and security. India is keen on cooperating with these countries to promote peace and stability in the region. Government has been closely following events in Iraq and hopes that peace and stability would soon return in Iraq. Government has also supported a renovated Israeli-Palestinian dialogue and looks forward to a peaceful resolution of issues leading to an independent state of Palestine living side by side at peace with its neighbors. Sadly, recent events in Gaza and the West Bank have caused deplorable misery and hardship to the people of Palestine. India will extend additional assistance to the Palestinian people and stands ready to help the peace process to move forward. India has also been engaged with Central Asian countries in our extended neighborhood to widen cooperation with them. As an observer state, India participated in the Heads of the State and Heads of Governments meeting of Shanghai Cooperation Organization in August and November 2007, respectively. The India, Russia, China trilateral foreign ministers dialogue also continues to be productive. India remains committed to the universal, non-discriminatory and comprehensive nuclear disarmament as reflected in the action plan presented by the late Prime Minister Rajiv Ji Gandhi, and has called for renewed efforts for general and complete disarmament, particularly nuclear disarmament. To commemorate Mahatma Gandhi's birthday, every year as the International Year of Non-Violence, India piloted a resolution in the UN Assembly which has adopted which was adopted by consensus. The first International Day of Non-Violence was observed at the UM on 2nd October 2007. Government has played a constructive role in the Doha development round of WTO trade negotiations and carried forward negotiations for establishing trade and economic partnership agreements with important trading partners and regional groupings to create a better external economic environment for our growth. The negotiations on the India-ASEAN Free Trade Agreement are scheduled to be completed soon. India worked with the international community to address key global challenges such as terrorism, energy security, sustainable development, and reform of the United Nations. Honorable members, India is on the move. There is an air of optimism among our youth and of expectation among the less privileged sections of society. The challenge before us is to sustain the development process in the face of external and internal threats. The people of India have the potential to fuel the engine of global growth. My government has been able to sustain historically high rates of growth through prudent and sound economic management. This has contributed to the stability of the growth process and to predictability and transparency in policy. This is reflected in the rising investment rate and in the buoyancy of tax revenues for both central and state governments. Your leadership can unleash the full potential of our people and ensure the stability and sustainability of our growth process. I sincerely hope, therefore, that the proceedings of Parliament this year will be purposeful, peaceful, and productive. Today, more than ever before, the world watches this great hall of democracy with hope and expectation. Our ability to liberate millions of our people from poverty, ignorance, and disease within the framework of an open society and an open economy has always had global significance. At a time when the democratic way of life has come under renewed pressure from the forces of intolerance, India's success as a plural, secular, and inclusive democracy gives renewed hope to the millions who are concerned about the rise of Chavism, extremism, and the ideologies of exclusion and hatred. Honorable members, each one of you must remember that as elected representatives of the people, what you do gives new hope, not just to your own voters, but to all our people and to all peace and freedom-loving people in our region and around the world. Therefore, what you say and do in these hallowed portals of democracy will have a bearing not just on the destiny of our people, but also on the futures of democracy and free societies around the world. With these words, with these thoughts, I once again wish you well. Jai Hind.
माननीय, आपने यहाँ अभी संसद के संयुक्त अधिवेशन में अभिभाषण किया है। आपकी अनुमति से मैं अभिभाषण के हिंदी पाठ के आरंभिक और अंत के अंश पढ़ता हूँ। कृपया शेष पढ़ा हुआ मान लिया जाए। मान्य सदस्यगण, मैं आप सभी का और देश की जनता का हार्दिक अभिनंदन करती हूँ। संसद के ये अधिवेशन ऐसे समय पर हो रहा है जब अर्थव्यवस्था प्रगति पर है। मेरी सरकार ये सुनिश्चित करने के लिए पूर्णतया कटिबद्ध है कि आर्थिक विकास के लिए प्रक्रिया सामाजिक रूप से समावेशी, क्षेत्रीय रूप से संतुलित और पर्यावरणीय रूप से अक्षुण्ण हो। मेरी सरकार द्वारा किए गए उपायों ने समावेशी विकास के आवश्यक ढांचा तैयार कर लिया है। माननीय संसदीय, आप में से प्रत्येक को ये याद रखना है कि जनता के चुने हुए प्रतिनिधियों के रूप में आप जो करते हैं वह न केवल आपके अपने मतदाताओं बल्कि हमारे सभी लोगों और हमारे क्षेत्र तथा विश्व के कोने कोने में शांति और स्वतंत्र चाहने वाले लोगों में नई आशाएं जगाता है। इसलिए लोकतंत्र के इस प्रतिष्ठित सदन के भीतर जो आप कहते हैं और करते हैं उसका प्रभाव न केवल हमारे लोगों की नीति पर बल्कि लोकतंत्र और पूरे विश्व में स्वतंत्र समाज के भविष्य पर भी पड़ेगा। इन्हीं विचारों के साथ आप सबको एक बार पुनः हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं। जय हिंद।
अभी माननीय राष्ट्रपति महोदया श्रीमती प्रतिभा देवी सिंह पाटिल ने संयुक्त सदन को संबोधित किया। बजट सत्र की शुरुआत है ये, और जिस तरह से गांधी जी ने कहा था कि विकास की नीतियां निर्धारित करते समय आखिरी पंक्ति पर खड़े हुए आखिरी इंसान को भी लाभ पहुंच सके, तो हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि इस बजट सत्र में इसका ध्यान रखा जाएगा। माननीय राष्ट्रपति महोदया श्रीमती प्रतिभा देवी सिंह पाटिल का अभिभाषण हमने सुना और अब वो प्रस्थान कर रही हैं। ये बजट सत्र इस मौके पर बहुत ही लाभकारी सिद्ध होगा और सर्वव्यापी होगा। हर तबके के इंसान को इससे मदद मिलेगी क्योंकि राष्ट्र के लोगों की उम्मीदें इससे जुड़ी हुई हैं।